A police officer can pull you over right now for absolutely no reason at all, and within about a minute they'll know more about you and your car than most people find out from a full MOT report. No suspicion needed, no offense required, just a uniformed officer and a raised hand. Let's get into exactly what happens in that minute, which checks can end with points on your license before you've even switched the engine off, and what you genuinely need to have sorted before it happens to you. Start with the legal basis for the stop itself, because this is the part almost nobody actually knows, despite it applying to every single driver in the country. Under Section 163 of the Road Traffic Act, a police officer in uniform can require you to stop your vehicle at any time, for any reason or no reason at all. Failing to stop is itself a separate offense, recorded the moment it happens, regardless of whether anything else was wrong with your car or your driving that day. You don't get to decide the stop wasn't justified and simply carry on. The stop happens, and then the checking happens. Here's where it's changed dramatically from even a few years ago. It used to be that if an officer wanted to check your license, insurance, and MOT, and you didn't have the paperwork on you, they'd hand you a form called an HORT1, and you'd have 7 days to take your documents to a police station of your choosing. That whole process has largely been replaced by real-time electronic checking. Officers now carry handheld devices linked directly into the police national computer, the DVLA database, and the motor insurance database. So your license status, your MOT history, and whether your car is currently insured can all be confirmed in well under a minute, often while you're still winding down your window. This is genuinely where under 60 seconds stops being a dramatic headline and starts being an accurate description of how fast this actually happens. Let's talk about the check that catches out the most people completely by surprise. Because it's not about anything you did wrong that day, it's about paperwork lapsing without you noticing. Driving without valid insurance. The motor insurance database is checked automatically the moment your plate is run, and if it comes back with no active policy, or a policy that's lapsed, expired, or doesn't match the vehicle, that's not a warning, that's an immediate offense. The penalty is 6 to 8 points on the spot, an unlimited fine decided by the severity of the case, and in a lot of situations, the vehicle itself can be seized and impounded right there at the roadside. If you're a new driver within 2 years of passing your test, 6 points isn't a slap on the wrist, it's your license gone entirely, automatically, no court appearance needed to make that happen. People assume this only catches deliberately uninsured drivers. In reality, most cases are honest mistakes. A renewal that didn't process correctly, a change of car that wasn't updated on the policy, a payment that failed silently. None of that matters to the database. It only sees active or not active. Tires are the next one worth knowing properly, because most drivers genuinely don't realize how the points stack. A defective tire, whether that's tread below the legal 1.6 millimeter minimum, a visible bulge, or a cut deep enough to expose the cord underneath, carries 3 penalty points and up to 2,500 pounds in fine per tire. Get pulled over with 2 tires in that condition, and you're not looking at 3 points, you're looking at 6, and potentially a 5,000-pound total exposure before you've even discussed anything else about your car that day. Officers doing roadside checks will walk the vehicle and check all 4 as standard practice, so this isn't a 1 in 4 chance of getting caught. It's effectively a full inspection every time. Now here's a power that genuinely surprises most drivers when they hear about it properly, because it's not new, it's just rarely explained. Under Section 96 of the Road Traffic Act, a police officer has always had the legal right to require you, at the roadside, to read a vehicle registration plate from a distance of 20 meters, with your glasses on if you normally wear them. This isn't a formal optician's test, it's a basic functional check. Fail it, and the officer can report the matter directly to the DVLA, which has the power to revoke your license on the spot, pending a proper medical review. This power has existed for years, but with eyesight-related collisions rising, and a formal government consultation currently underway on tightening vision requirements generally, officers are reportedly leaning on this existing power more actively than they used to. If you wear glasses or contact lenses for driving, always carrying them, even a spare pair in the glove box, isn't just sensible, it's the difference between a 5-second check and a genuine problem at the roadside. Breath testing is the one most drivers already understand the seriousness of, but the mechanics are worth being clear on. If an officer has reasonable suspicion you've been drinking, been involved in a collision, or committed a moving traffic offense, They can require a roadside breath test on the spot. Refusing that test without a genuinely valid medical reason is treated as seriously as failing it, carrying an automatic driving ban and a criminal record, not simply points. There's no strategic advantage to refusing. It doesn't buy you time or protect you legally. It just converts a potential drink driving matter into a certain one. It's worth understanding what actually happens with the numbers here too, because the current limit in England and Wales sits at 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood, noticeably higher than the 50 milligram limit already in force in Scotland. There's a formal government consultation currently running on bringing England and Wales down to match that 50 milligram threshold, with an even stricter near-zero limit proposed specifically for newly qualified drivers. Nothing has been confirmed into law yet, but the direction of travel is clear enough that treating the current 80 milligram limit as a target to stay well under, rather than right up against, is the sensible approach, regardless of what the final legislation ends up saying. A roadside breath test doesn't care about your personal tolerance or how you feel. It measures exactly what's in your system at that moment. And being confident you feel fine is not the same thing as being under the limit. There's also a device worth knowing about if you've ever been convicted of a drink driving offense and are working through license reinstatement. Alcolocks, breath test devices wired directly into the vehicle's ignition system, are being proposed as a condition for getting back on the road after a conviction, preventing the car from starting at all if the driver's breath alcohol reads above 0. This isn't relevant to the average driver who's never been convicted of anything, but if you know someone navigating that exact situation, it's worth knowing this option may become part of the standard pathway back to a full license going forward. Let's talk about what's actually in your hand or your glove box that matters here. Your driving license itself has been going through a genuine digital shift this year, with a rollout of a digital version accessible through the gov.uk1 login app, designed to work even offline, specifically so it's usable at a roadside stop with poor signal. Your physical photo card remains completely valid throughout this transition, with the government confirming it'll continue to be accepted for years yet, so there's no need to panic about needing the app specifically. But if you have set it up, it's a genuinely useful backup, because unlike a plastic card, it can't be left in another jacket or lost down the side of a seat. Insurance proof works similarly to how it did before, in that you're not legally required to produce a physical certificate at the roadside anymore, since officers can verify your policy electronically against the database in real time. But it's still worth having your insurer's contact details and policy number easily accessible on your phone, because if there's ever a discrepancy between what the database shows and what you actually hold, being able to pull up confirmation immediately turns a potential seizure situation into a 5-minute conversation instead. On the subject of what to physically keep in the car, there's been growing conversation this year around emergency equipment requirements, specifically warning triangles meeting an updated safety specification for use during a breakdown. I want to flag this one carefully rather than overstate it, because the reporting on it has been inconsistent, and I haven't seen it confirmed through an official government notice in the way the insurance and license changes have been. If you already carry a warning triangle, a high-vis vest, and a basic first aid kit, you're covered for both current requirements and anything that firms up later, so there's no harm in treating it as sensible practice regardless of the exact legal status. While we're on the subject of what officers are actually looking for beyond the core insurance, license, and MOT triangle, it's worth knowing that a roadside stop can also flag up vehicle defects that have nothing to do with tires. Cracked windscreens sitting within the driver's direct line of sight, non-functioning brake lights, and number plates that aren't clearly legible from a reasonable distance are all things an officer will typically notice within the first few seconds of walking around the vehicle, well before any electronic check even completes. None of these individually carry points in most cases, but they can result in a rectification notice requiring you to fix the issue within a set period and provide proof. And ignoring that notice does escalate into a proper fine. A 5-minute walk around your own car before a long journey, checking lights, plates, and glass, catches almost all of this before an officer ever needs to. If you're on prescription medication, this is worth carrying specifically for roadside situations, rather than just at home in a cupboard. Updated drug driving threshold limits came into force earlier this year, and while a genuine prescription taken as directed gives you a legal defense if you're tested and found over the threshold, that defense sits with you to demonstrate, not with the officer to assume. Carrying your prescription and the original medication packaging in the car means that conversation, if it ever happens, takes minutes rather than escalating into something far more serious while you try to prove something you didn't bring evidence for. So let's bring all of this together into something you can actually act on rather than just something to worry about. Your insurance needs to be genuinely active and correctly matched to your current vehicle, not just paid for, because the database check happens automatically and instantly the second you're stopped. Your tires need to be properly checked regularly, not just glanced at, because the points stack per tire, and officers check all four as routine. If you wear glasses for driving, keep a spare pair in the car, because the 20-meter plate test is a real, long-standing power that's being used more actively. Have your digital license set up as a backup if you can, but don't panic if you haven't. Your physical card still works. And if you're on regular medication, keep the prescription and packaging in the car, not just the tablets. 5 minutes spent checking these before a long drive is genuinely all it takes to walk away from any stop with nothing more than a friendly reminder to drive safe. None of this is designed to make a routine drive feel like walking into an inspection. The overwhelming majority of roadside stops end in under 2 minutes with nothing found wrong at all, because most drivers genuinely are compliant, insured, and driving a roadworthy car. But the checking behind those 2 minutes has gotten dramatically faster and more thorough than it used to be, and the drivers who get caught out are consistently the ones who assumed a small lapse, an unnoticed insurance gap. A tire they meant to replace wouldn't actually get spotted. In under 60 seconds now, it almost certainly will be. If this cleared up exactly what happens in a roadside stop and what's actually worth having sorted before it happens to you, hit subscribe, because enforcement technology keeps moving forward, and I'll keep breaking down exactly what it means for you as it changes. Whether it's the insurance database getting faster, the eyesight power being used more actively, or the drink-drive limit potentially tightening later this year, the pattern is always the same. The underlying rule was often already there. It's the speed and thoroughness of catching it that's changed. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.